Our meditation is going to be a little bit different this evening. We are going to bless you with a 12-power candle lighting ceremony. We bring this powerful year to a close with this special ceremony to honor our process of these last 12 months. In Unity, our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, spiritually discerned these 12 faculties represented by the 12 disciples of Jesus, which are inherent in us. And when fully developed, they support our most inspired living. They only exist in potential, however, until they are activated. This sacred ceremony is our meditation today and also serves as a kickoff for our 2021 focusing on the 12 powers every month of the year next year. So I invite you to just allow this ceremony to wash over you.
We light this blue candle to acknowledge our living light of faith, the light that calls us to forgive more fully and love more deeply. It calls each of us to be greater than we could ever have imagined. We light the light green candle to acknowledge our living light of strength, the light that carries us through our joys and our sufferings. The light of strength allows us to watch over what is most precious in our own lives because we know God is everywhere present. We light the yellow candle to acknowledge our living light of wisdom, the light that is the link between our divine and human nature. Wisdom directs us to act as love, compassion, joy, peace, and all divine ideas, bringing the invisible world into reality. We light this pink candle to acknowledge our living light of love, the light reminding us the Christmas story heralds the birth of a person who loved selflessly. And any person who loves this way is fully alive with the gifts of Magi. We light this purple candle to acknowledge our living light of power, the light that is the embodiment of the Christ. We leave echoes of perfection when speaking words of truth. The power of our presence in the world is the greatest gift we can offer humanity. We light this light blue candle to acknowledge our living light of imagination, the light we use to create and give shape to the sacred and to form God into what the world needs most: compassion, joy, love, courage, and peace. We light the gold candle to acknowledge our living light of understanding, the light that is our ability to stretch and see with new eyes, taking in all that is happening, not just with our senses, but with our hearts and minds. This spiritual understanding leads us to knowing the peace that surpasses all human understanding. We light this silver candle to acknowledge our living light of will, the light that is our willingness to say yes to that which is calling us to be greater than we could ever have imagined. We light the dark green candle. We do light the dark green candle to acknowledge our living light of divine order, the light that is naturally ordered, hidden current of life we are always aligning with in order to bring forth a world in a balanced and harmonious way. We light this orange candle to acknowledge our living light of zeal, the light that is the inward fire of the soul, passionately springing forward to manifest our Christ nature here on earth. We light the russet candle to acknowledge our living light of release, the light of surrendering to Spirit and releasing old thoughts, feelings, and experiences that are not for our highest good. And finally, we light this red candle to acknowledge the living light of life, which is the expression of vitality, wholeness, and creativity as demonstrated by Jesus. His birth and life remind us, show us, that we are infused with that same divine presence he embodies, and have the power and potential to express the eternal activity of God in all things and in all ways.
Beautiful. Thank you, ladies. That was wonderful. In her book, Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, author Catherine Ponder gives us an affirmation that quite probably is the foundation of all spiritual growth. So please hear her words. I fully and freely forgive. I loose and let go. I let go and let God's love do its perfect work in me, through me, and for me. I let go and let God's love do its perfect work in the conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious activities of my mind, my body, and my affairs. I give thanks that peace, health, plenty, and happiness now reign supreme in me and in our world. I don't know about you, but I think that'd be a great way to start 2021, having that kind of expectation and having that intention, setting that intention. I mean, let's face it, it's been a ride these last 12 months. We kind of need to pat ourselves on the back for surviving and also for thriving all through the pandemic and all the things, all the changes, all the things that we've been through this year. I don't think anybody could have imagined that in the beginning of the year when we set the theme of seeing with perfect vision clearly what is going to unfold for us. We didn't know what kind of vision we were going to get a chance to see, did we? We got a real big chance to step back and see our lives in a whole different way. I don't think anyone could have really prepared us to know what these last months had been like. And I hear a lot of people naming it and calling it bad, and I hear a lot of people talking about, I'm ready to get rid of this year and move into something else. But honestly, we have grown in so many ways. Our planet has healed. Our footprint on the earth has lessened. There are acts of kindness out there like you can't even imagine. And heroes, all kinds of heroes in the medical community and in the first responders. And there's just a lot of opportunity to see the good that has also unfolded. I suggest that we received some tremendous gifts this year. In the midst of all the challenges, would you agree that we've seen some good through all of it? Many of us received insights because, like never before, all this time that we had to cocoon, we had chance to gain insights into what's important to us. We got a chance to spend more time with family and friends, even if some of it was virtually. We got to connect in ways that we never connected before. We've grown and we've learned new skills. Some of us even learned how to cook a little better. I know a lot of you talked about baking. You know, there's a lot of, when I visited a few people, there was always bringing out the breads and the pastas and the pies and all these things. So I know that people have experimented in learning how to make their home their castle because they spent so much time in it. More connections, and more connections worldwide. We've had people seeing our services from all over the country. We never had that before. We had people from different states and all, but I mean worldwide we've had participation. So we really should count our blessings because I'll tell you what, we have evolved. We are not the same people we were at the beginning of this year. There's no way that you could have lived through what we've lived through and be the same, right? We've grown and we've evolved in a way because we were flexible and because we were bold. We moved through it in spite of the challenges that faced us. So to me, Catherine Ponder is speaking about how do we see 2020? How do we see what is unfolded? Because a lot of people are talking about they wished it hadn't happened. But that's not really realistic because we lived it. We lived it and we're coming out on the other side of it. I think what she's saying is we have to learn to bless it all, to see somehow the gift that has come from it, even in the midst of the difficulty and the pain and the loss and the struggle, that good has to come somehow on the other side of it. Our scripture today is from Isaiah 43, verses 18 and 19. It says, "Do not remember the former things, or consider the things of old. I am about to do a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" When we're stuck in the past, or when we're stuck in wishing things were the way they used to be, that is like Lot's wife looking back and turning into a pillar of salt. It doesn't really do us a lot of good to wish for what it was, because it's not going to be the same. It's going to morph into something better in a different sort of way. It's actually a waste of energy to wish for things that were. It can keep us stuck back there. And so we expect and we anticipate and we set intentions for more good to come. And we stay grateful in this present moment that we have right now. George Eliot once said, "The strongest principle of growth lies in human choice." So our choice, you see, can be to trust God, to trust divine order, to trust that we are living in the present moment, and in doing that, we don't miss any of the gifts that come to us. We've all grown so much. Letting go may seem hard to do. It may feel like some old habits and beliefs are so grounded in us, so rooted in us, that those aren't going to be things that we can let go of in the burning bowl. However, even if we've been saying things like, well, that's just the way I am, or that's just the way life is, we need to turn that around and tweak that perspective a little bit right here and right now. Because the fact is, we totally have control to be able to change the outcome and the expectation for ourselves, from freeing ourselves from any habit or belief that no longer serves us. All we have to do is to claim that Christ power that is within us, that is bigger than anything that we can see or imagine happening to us. It's happening through us, always for our growth, for our spiritual growth. So we claim and embrace that divine power. Drawing on that power, we can break free of whatever seems to be limiting us. Remember, you're free and unlimited. You are an eternal being. You're going to move past this into something greater. We've been cocooning like butterflies, getting ready to come out of our chrysalis, right, and move into this new experience, whatever that is. So I invite you to affirm after me. I release the past so that I am free in this moment for all that is possible now. I release the past so that I am free in this moment for all that is possible now. Our beautiful co-founder, Myrtle Fillmore, once said, "It surely is not wisdom and good judgment to keep at a thing year after year that brings no appreciable returns and that does not cause the soul to grow and expand and radiate through the body as ever-renewing health and youth. Sometimes we get into a rut," she says, "and we need a change of work. But first, we must change our viewpoint." So in Unity, a very big part of what we teach has to do with affirmations and denials. So we know what things don't work for us. We want to let those pieces go, don't we? We want to clear out of the old and make room for the new. We create a vacuum by letting go of those thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve, and then we have space in our consciousness, you see, to be able to bring forth something better for us, something more appropriate for these new beings that we are changing into. We move into this new year with a clean slate when we learned how to let things go. We simply have to say, this feeling of lack has no power over me. And these people are talking about vaccinations like there's not enough out there. There's an abundance. We live in God's kingdom. There is abundance of everything. We just simply are patient and wait our turn for whatever, right? We don't see the lack. We see only abundance everywhere. So we're making room for that good to come to us. And we stand now at a crossroads that I like to call Possibility Junction. Because it really is all up to us how we see what's coming down the pike. We get to choose how we perceive the last 12 months and what we're going to expect for the year ahead. Each of us has had very different experiences. We've all moved. Some have had a lot more loss than others. Some have had physical illnesses. We've had grief. We've had change, lots of change this year. But in spite of all the challenges, I encourage you to believe that the change is good. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, especially if we have to move through a period of grief to get on the other side of it. But that's all part of our process of learning and growing. So when we release and let go, then it's time to start allowing, to start setting up that consciousness for what it is that we want to see happen. What is it that our heart is so calling for us to experience in the new year? We need to spend time, these last hours of this old year, letting go of what no longer serves and setting up our consciousness to receive, like the open hands, or such a receiving posture. Let me bring into this new life, this new year, something magnificent. That's why we have these rituals of letting go, and then we have these rituals of the white stone, where we get to listen to Spirit and find our new word of focus for the next year. We have to allow our lives to unfold for us. I love that word, allowing, so much, because it says to me, my ego gets out of the way, and my Christ self is open and receptive to whatever good that I need to show up as in this new year. And I know that I'll receive whatever it is I need moment to moment. A big part of this allowing is part of Principle 5, isn't it? We live the truth we know. And we live principle 5 by living the first 4. God is, I am, I think, I pray. And we know that when we live those, because those are all in consciousness, that 5th one, we're moving into action. We're ready to set our intention. So we all know that when we do this work and when we're living in the flow, synchronicities happen. Wonderful things come about, things that we hadn't even planned on. When we're in the flow and we're living those 5 principles, we allow God to do good in and through us. So the big word my son says for next year is expansion. It's all going to be about expanding our consciousness and moving into a greater way of being. I'm excited about it. This full moon has kind of opened energy and things are flowing in and through us. We've had a beautiful Christmas celebration, and now we come to this very final hours of this year. I don't know about you, but I think we're ready, don't you? Yes. Okay, it's time for a little humor. Our joke for tonight has to do with New Year's Eve. So Marilyn is in a local pub, and Marilyn has decided that at the stroke of midnight, all husbands, she announces to this whole pub, I want all husbands to go and stand next to the one who has meant so much to them this year and in their lives. And so the clock strikes, the ball drops, and a curious thing happens. The bartender is almost crushed to death. Somebody didn't get their New Year's Eve kiss, I think. I'm glad you like that. So my closing words for today are keep the smile, leave the tear, hold the laugh, leave the pain, think of joy, forget the fear, be joyous because it's almost a new year. God bless. Thank you so much. Now is the time in our service when we get to give from our good. And those of you that are at home watching, I invite you to click that donate button. We have been so incredibly blessed this year by each and every one of you giving in all the different ways that we've set up for you to be able to give. And we just can't thank you enough for all the generosity. Let's say our blessing of our gifts and tithes together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so, and so it is, 2020. Namaste.